So here we have our mandala body graph view. And so the sun is in gate 42, which is increase, and it is a sacral gate. And the earth is in gate 32, and that's continuity, and that's a splenic gate.
So put these two things together, and we get the spleen on fire. The spleen receives sacral fire through this action. It's pretty interesting. And it's not like the 57 and the 34. You'd think that's it, but that's not. That's natural. This is like fire.
Cool. So here we have the sun in gate 42, which is increase, or the gate of growth. And this is the expansion of the resources which maximize the development of full potential. Gate 42 is a sacral gate, and it is part of individual circuitry. So you can think empowerment for your keynote, and it is part of the sensing circuit specifically. Gate 42 hooks up with gate 53, which is development, and the 53-42 make up the channel of maturation. Gate 42 is the tenacity to stay with the cycle to maximize inherent potential, generating growth and balancing development. And it's using humanity's collected experiences, creating a foundation for future progress. And the focus is energetically completing a cycle or process. And weak or insufficiently supported beginnings make you nervous and uncomfortable.
Yeah, and the thing is, but it loves the beginnings. It's just all nervous about it because it's not the beginnings. That's gate 53. So that's part of the fire inside of this format channel for this gate. Because when the response from 41 says, and it starts doing the thing, it transcends. It takes 53, the beginning of something, and transcends that beginning and turns it into what the channel's named, maturation, bringing maturity to the thing, a completion, a finishing of the cycle. 42 bites onto the thing and stays with it. It's hungry to get to the end. 42 is the kind of gate that's like keeps you married a couple of years longer than maybe you should have, in a job longer than you should have, toiling over certain things much longer than you should have, or exactly long enough to bring a cycle to some meaningful, emotionally meaningful, generated conclusion. So it's hungry for all of that. And this whole, its foundation, I love it, is diversification and identification. It's about a diversity of the beginnings that may have taken place, and then identifying, basically the identification is not ours. That's the thing about this gate. It's the sacral's. Sacral says yes or no outside of our awareness, outside of anything. And it doesn't matter if it's defined or not. You got a gate in the sacral of 42, it's happening. Even if you're a projector or a manifestor, reflector, it doesn't matter. So hungry to complete the process and pick up what was started and mature it fully with all kinds of good breath and certainly an ending at some point. Please give our 42s endings, right? Not onto infinitum, some kind of stage, a plateau where it grew.
Perfect. Just as a bit of context for our audience, you referenced format gates, and that the 53-42 is a format gate. So a format gate is any of the three channels that go from the root to the sacral. So the 53-42, the 60 and the 3, and then the 52 and the 9. Those three channels are considered format channels, and we're going to have a future episode on that.
Yeah. Look at format channels like an electrical storm between two powerful diodes in an electrical system, letting electricity and shocks just fly back and forth, formatting the rest of the circuitry.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's like the root center is like the gas. It's like the adrenaline, that like impulse to go. And then the sacral's like, yeah, all right, engine go.
I like to look at it just because it's so important to the description of what's going on in this gate, the electrical juice of this gate. The Nebuchadnezzar in the Matrix, the way it shot out those electromagnetic bolts against stuff, and then it came back, and that's how it floated on electromagnetic bolts, remember? And they would make it look like blue lightning coming off of those little things of the ship that would be there in the Matrix. That's what it looks like. That's sort of its operation.
Next up, we have the Earth in gate 32, which is duration, or the gate of continuity. And gate 32 says the only thing that endures is change. Gate 32 is a splenic gate and it's tribal. So you can think support as your keynote. Specifically, it's part of the ego circuit. Gate 32 hooks up with gate 54, which is ambition. And the 3254 make up the channel of transformation. So gate 32 is about constant evaluation and instinctive recognition of what can and cannot be transformed. Gate 32 has an underlying fear of failure. It's the spleen's contribution to the material continuity of the tribe. Gate 32's gift is recognizing who has the skills or education to move up in the world and using its influence to bring attention to positions of authority.
This part of a channel of being driven is so aware of where its influence is on the uptake. It's being uptaked by the folks higher than. It's constantly recognizing the higher station as well as its own. It's just a recognition. It's an instinctive recognition that's there to bring more resource to the tribe. It's tribal after all. And so this whole duration, think of the juxtaposition of these two gates. So this one says the only thing that endures is change, and it likes and it seeks to simply be conservative and ride out changes as to not lose its grip. So it's a conservative minded thing. And on the other side, we have expansion maximally. Please maximize the expansion. And 32 is like, well, hold on there, maximize it like this. Well, slow down a little bit. Okay, now you can go. You know, it's the governor of it. It's governing it, attempting to keep it somewhat cool. This side of the body graph is cool by comparison to the other side that gets hot with the ego and the solar plex on that other side.
So just for some context, you're saying that gate 32, it's receiving that like intensity of the 54 because the 54 is ambition. And it's, again, it's a root center. It's that pulse. It's that adrenaline. It's that impulse. So the 54 is this like ambition to like do a thing and start a new thing and make it happen and transform something. And then the 32 is receiving that with this, hey, this is about long-term continuity. This is about long-term duration. I know you're excited, but we just got to like keep a handle on it so we can capture that lightning and do something with it for the ongoing continuity and the duration.
And we'll err on the side of caution here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then that cool side, it's because the spleen is more cool compared to especially the solar plexus and then even the ego, the will center, on the opposite side of the body chart. So it's like, cool, we're going to receive your desire to transform with that 54, and we're just going to lean on the side of caution for ongoing duration and continuity.
And we're going to steadfastly do it. Don't take cool for weak. It's just not going to get all emotional about that, is the thing. You know, no, we're doing it this way. Even if it means off with her head, you know, we're kind of cool about that over here, you know, it had to happen type thing. Mm-hmm. So this coolness, though, it plays its part because, again, it's opposition. This gate gets it all the way around. Its opposition says, I'm hot, essentially, expand, maximum expansion, you know, with whatever resources are there. What do you got, 32, for resources? I'm expanding them. But you're identifying where that expansion becomes the fire between this and the sacral, which is, I will guide you, sacral. You will get a sense of well-being the second you're expanding these resources and not something else. So it's an incredible, I look at it like a lightning bolt between these two gates. You know what I mean? Because one is lightning fast one way, and it has to be, it's the spleen, and the other's lightning fast the other way. And to keep the being in their right way with their strategy and authority so that they're feeling the success of the victory, of the being at peace because the impact was so killer and they're satisfied, right? And all of these things is to have one recognition on one side, enlighten and in a way empower and basically ordain the expansion on the other side. Because let's face it, the expansion is just simply a sacral hit. There's no intelligence in there as it relates to our mind. There's no emotional awareness, and there's certainly no actual survival awareness. It's just energy good here, energy good, energy not good. And you don't need to have a defined sacral for that. So I love this opposition. I say it creates the same kind of firestorm between the sacral and the spleen as does the 2750 and the 3457. I say it's as potent as the 44 and the 26, although that one's more pronounced because it's a like force, so it would be more potent, I guess, but it's got a similarity like that.
Next up, we have the Incarnation Crosses. First, we have the right angle cross of Maya, which adds the 61 and the 62 to the 42 and the 32. And these are trendsetters grounded in properly evaluated detail who promote growth by bringing one cycle to completion, thus setting the stage for inspired new beginnings. Then we'll move into the juxtaposition cross of completion, which adds the 60 and the 56. These are people focused on completing what they have begun, the marathon runner who reaches the goal after all others have gone home. Finally, we'll move into the left angle cross of limitation, which also adds the 60 and the 56. And these are people who know what can and cannot be completed. They need to accept the limitation to ensure material success and master resources. Limitation creates the boundaries that hold our universe together.
It's a perfect place to have come, having just left 51. It's just perfect because 51 and 57, all they can do is be unique in a pulse. And what it says is our new beginnings that mature into something, because this maximizes its expansion in a way that becomes a trendsetter. Like literally, that's a great term, trendsetter. Absolutely. Because they're aware of what other people are going to want to buy. That's 32 for you. And it's not hula hoops this decade, it's something new. And so this trendsetter is literally picked up from the unknown that was left it a moment earlier in the 51, 57. That's the movement here. The real trend got set in the unique thing. In reality, this is just a instinctual tribal / collective sharing process of now getting it out into the world. It's got to be sold, it's got to be cool, and it's got to be on its way to a form of a completion. And then when you move all through this, it's great when you got the thing, but sooner or later, just like 32 says, the rule of cycles, that change is always part of it. And you can count on that. That endures. That change will happen, but you don't have to stay in any kind of decline. Shows up in the limitation. The limitation just says, hey, I'm done with this. We can't necessarily go any further. And it's a wisdom. Why wouldn't it be? It's a spleen gate still. There's still a spleen gate in here. So there becomes an instinctual wisdom to recognize, for the benefit of the tribe, limitations. 60 doesn't only serve the sacral above it. It serves the tribe through the awareness of the spleen. The spleen is given a voice through gate 60 because of this opposition. And that limitation is wicked important, that we know our limitations. We're going to need to know them in a couple of years moving into the next cycle, that's for sure. And one of our limitations is we're not free to move about as ourselves without our strategy and authority. So take that one to heart. But I do love this movement. I like how it sort of, again, it makes sense going around the wheel. Both ways, by the way. It's funny.
Always does.
Yeah. Talk about a magical matchup of a mystery that I don't even know how we could have done this ourselves. That's why we say God did this. He just made this perfect system that reading the nodes clockwise, it makes just as much sense as reading the sun-earth counterclockwise as a story around the wheel. Go figure. That's an anagram. It's a giant wheeled 64-character anagram. I don't see many of those. You got one of those floating around somewhere, Moni?
I don't think so. I don't think I could be that clever.
Yeah, let's ask ChatGPT and see if it even comes up with one. ChatGPT, give me an anagram of 64 characters, 384 characters while you're at it. The lines. Times 3, because we got to break it down into its component, left, right, and juxtaposition. I don't think there is one, but there is one here. Wow, that was really interesting.
Cool. Finally, we have our hexagrams for the week. We have the sun in gate 42, which is increase, and the trigrams are wind over thunder. And the image reads, wind and thunder increasing. A noble one sees improvement, and so she changes. When there's excess, she corrects it. Wind and thunder are agents of change. Thunder is like the inner spark of initiative and will. Wind is far-reaching influence in the world, free-moving because of its endless ability to shape itself to the terrain. The noble one moves as decisively as thunder and with the versatility of the wind. She does not hold fast to a chosen direction, but responds to whatever opportunities for improvement she can see.
Again, it sounds like 42 is aware that 32 is on its opposition. Right? It sounds like it because it's talking about her awareness to know to shift so that the growth and the increase can keep happening and it can come to a fruition. Ultimately, it's trying to come to a logical fruition, believe it or not, even though that's the abstract side of the circuitry. But it's just amazing how it sort of reads itself. I like wind and thunder. 42 is loads of thunder. I don't fully understand the wind other than the wind sort of casts its seeds amongst the land to find out what will be worth growing.
Yeah, and the wind is about gentle, subtle, far-reaching influence, and it could shape to anything.
Got you. That makes good sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
So next up, we have the Earth in gate 32, which is continuity, or in my I Ching book, it reads as lasting.
Lasting?
Yeah, lasting, Lasting. And the trigrams are thunder over wind. And the image reads, thunder and wind, lasting. A noble one stands firm and does not change his bearings. Thunder and wind are endlessly changeable, but they are part of a larger lasting cycle. The noble one's inner nature, subtle as the wind, translates into action as decisive as thunder. So however the environment changes, everything he does will always travel in the same direction.
Subtle, conservative, and decisive, a perfect description of 32. And the only time 32 isn't so subtle is when the house is on fire. And then they look to get right back to being subtle again after they put it out. Coolly, by the way. Not a lot of emotion in putting out that fire. I might get a little pissed, but
Yeah, it's interesting. The noble one's inner nature, subtle as the wind, because that's the foundation. The bottom three lines are going to be the foundation. So that inner nature, that core, is subtle as the wind, right? And again, it can move, it can change, it can shape into everything and be very influential. And then that translates into action as decisive as thunder, which would be the top three lines.
I like that. Thunder is quite decisive. Lightning's quite decisive, but lightning is more destructive than decisive in a way. Thunder is simply decisive. You can't miss it, and it's everywhere. You could easily miss a bolt of lightning, but you can't miss the thunder.
Yeah.
Which is funny because the thunder is the thing you hear, and we just came off of gate 57 that you hear with the right ear.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's a neat, like, continuity. Ha ha ha.
It's that continuity, dude. This thing spells it out. So it's everlasting. That's what 32, everlasting growth. That's basically what this says. And the wisdom is obviously in the when is it time to rest? Because all that energy coming from root center below, I mean, both of these guys is harmonic gate is the root in the root center, right? And 54 and 53 being in the root center, all I know is when the root center is firing up the channel, it means that whatever's going to come out of 32 for an awareness is dependent upon adrenaline. It's not just part of the process, it's the foundation, the adrenalized, almost shocking nature of adrenaline pouring out. Connected to the sacral, that's a sacral response of adrenaline pouring out. That's just such lightning right all by itself, or thunder in this case. I call it thunder. And I love the connection between these two. It keeps coming back to a lightning strike between these two.
That's cool. All right. So, final thoughts and advice for our audience on experiencing and working with these energies this week.
Don't start something new. Have something that was already started. I think this is easy for someone to say, I'm going to start that project. And the second that that happens, you're now living out what this is not. I think if you still go ahead and do it and say, I'm going to start this project, it's because you're living out the fact that you already bought the material for it. Now go for it because it already got started. So, moral of the story I'm trying to get at is do the things that somehow or other already have a beginning laid down for them. So you can get past that original adrenal push to do something which will only disorganize things. You know, it's so close to like getting so wicked excited to do a thing, while at the same time, this is more of just a responsive nature of starting something new, but it's not the starting part. It's the continuing. The thing that you wished you'd done all along, that you bought all the supplies for and you got a bunch of stuff going on, 1, 2, 3, go. It wants to mature. You had a love for it at one point in time. So let things like that come to maturity. Now's the time to find something to mature. You're already going to have a conservative nature about it that has got a constant. 32 is like the RoboCop eye. It is always looking. You take all the gates in the body graph. If you're going to give one that RoboCop eye, it's 32. It's like, what do you got? You're on the factory floor. You got that there. Did you make enough of that? Are you over here? Where are you going? Are you out sick today? No, you're coming in. No, I need you for over. It is roving across the entire production assembly of the whole thing. And in this case, it's the whole thing that is waiting for maturity. So it wants that expertise of that guarantee of 32 that says, don't worry, I got you on this. I'll oversee the whole thing. And let it be overseen. 1, 2, 3, start. Whatever it is I just described there, start that up in your life, something you already got going. Yeah, that.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, everything that Danny said, if I was going to bring it into like looking at the earth and the sun and like grounded, the earth is in continuity and that ongoing duration of something to continue on, especially in that tribal perspective. So grounding yourself in that conservative nature of like, hey, what do we need to be aware of for ongoing management and continuity, especially if it's like a business type of thing or some kind of thing you have an ambition for, right? Like what makes you
Yeah.
ambitious, and like
Yes.
how can you receive that ambition in grounding into the duration and the continuity of that thing. And then so you can shine the sun of completion, continuity and completion, like end some stuff. You can't begin something new if you don't end the last thing. And if you just have 20 projects lying around, good luck starting the new thing, because now all your stuff's on top of itself. You can't find it. You need this. It's been moved around. It's gotten messy. So finish some stuff off for the ongoing continuity.
Yeah, dude, you just put it in like 4 words what I said, that whole thing. Hey, finish some stuff off, okay? Go back to everything I said and cap it off with that.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel pretty good, Moni.
Yeah, I feel really good. So finish some stuff. Have a great week. Thank you, Danny. Thank you to our audience for watching and liking, subscribing, comment. I love all the comments. And we will catch you next week for
Thank you,
another
Moni.
transit.
This is wonderful. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Much love.